Hey everybody, and welcome back to FigFed News, the March 12th, 2024 edition of your fake figure wrestling news. So, Diamond Dallas Page has officially announced that he has signed with the WWE. World War III ring winner is revealed as well right after we click onto the next slide. So let's begin. So here's a recap of what happened at the indie event. You had 3 rings, 60 superstars. On the line was actually a contract for the WWE at the start of the next year, which would be replacing either Goldberg or Triple H, as they both only signed 1-year deals. And the winner, when it came down to it, it came down to the final 2 people. One was Drew McIntyre, and the other was this man who eventually won the match. And congratulations to Matt Hardy, who will be given the contract. It came down to him and Drew McIntyre in the finals. It was a very heated, heavy-hitting affair. It came down when a Claymore kick was missed and Hardy was able to lower the rope just enough to where McIntyre fell over. Over to WWE now, as the main show would kick off with the Brainbusters and Brian Pillman defeating Rico, Charlie Haas, and LA Knight by pinfall in the opening match. Triple H would come into the locker room of Batista and tell him that if they team up and beat O'Haire and Sid, then they can both be added to the WWF title match. Batista says he will consider it. The next match takes place with Val Venis defeating EC3 by pinfall as a non-title match. Bret Hart would come out and says he looks forward to facing Great Muta again and can't wait to make Piper submit again at Night of Champions, as he'll defend his title against Piper again for the Intercontinental title. Third match would see Jake and Jesse Gemini defeat Nasty Boys by pinfall. Batista comes in and gives Triple H his answer, saying as much as he wants to beat Triple H, he also wants a world title, so they will team up and beat him, and then he will beat Triple H again at Night of Champions. The fourth match will see Bret Hart defeat Great Muta this time in a rematch from last week when it ended in a time limit draw by submission. The graphic for Matt Hardy was shown to have won the World War III Battle Royal and be coming to be next year. And the main event would see Batista and Triple H defeat Sean O'Haire and Psycho Sid by pinfall. Batista and Triple H then stand tall looking at the heavyweight title championship in Sid's arms as the show closes. Of course, Sid would leave his partner to take the pinfall. Over on Rising Up, the Singh brothers and Iron Sheik continued their victories, defeating JYD, Gangrel, and George Steele by pinfall. Steve Blackman would defeat Simon Dean by pinfall, and the main event would finally, in a rematch from last week, Jason Jordan would secure that victory over Ryan Sakota. AW had a show this week as Willer Yuta and Darby Allin defeats Lucha Bros by pinfall. Pac defeats Hook by pinfall. Brody King would defeat Kenny Omega by pinfall. Dustin Rhodes defeats Ricky Starks by pinfall. And the main event saw Samoa Joe defeat CM Punk by submission. Over the IWGP now, as Chris Masters would defeat Psychosis by submission. Snitsky would defeat Mike Awesome by pinfall. Cruz Del Toro and Joaquin Wilde defeats Vito and Tony Mamaluke by pinfall. And the main event would see Lance Storm defeat Rene Dupree by pinfall. NXT held a impromptu title match this week as Rick Steiner defeats MVP. Both men would make their debuts, as Vader has announced he's left the company. Carmelo Hayes defeats Bronson Reed, Omos, Braun Strowman, Kevin Owens, R-Truth, Ridge Holland, Sheamus, Karrion Kross, and Big E by over-the-top rope elimination to earn a number 1 contendership shot for the NXT Championship. In a main event match, Braun Breaker would defeat Ricochet in a champion versus champion. There's both belts on the line. However, though, Braun would throw down the belts and announce he's left NXT for a worthy challenge. So the belts currently are vacated. So stay tuned to find out who will be the next champion's crowned for the NXT Championship and the North American Championship. Over to Impact now as Noe Jose defeats Keith Lee by pinfall. Heath Slater, who debuted against Cassius Ohno, ends in a time limit draw. Tensai would make short work of Kalisto. The main event would see Alberto Del Rio defeat Chavo Guerrero by submission. Over on Ring of Honor here, Danhausen would defeat John Silver by pinfall. Private Party defeats Butcher and Blade by pinfall. And the main event would see Andrade defeat Brody Lee by pinfall. Nothing for the UWF this week. However, TNA held its pay-per-view as Crimson and Matt Morgan defeat Motor City Machine Guns by pinfall for the tag titles. Christopher Daniels defeats Amazing Red and Jay Lethal by pinfall for the X Division Championship. D'Angelo Dinero defeats Jeff Jarrett, James Storm, and Rob Terry by pinfall to earn a future title shot. Desmond Wolfe defeats Rob Conway by pinfall. And the main event would see Magnus overcome Abyss by pinfall for the TNA Heavyweight Championship. Nothing for the NWA this week, nor OROH, or WWC, still missing. Same with GCW. That's all for this week. Check back again next week as we find out as we loom towards the next pay-per-view for WWE Ultimate, as well as the fallout from the NXT debacle.